What's up, everybody? I'm here with Mr. Geek-E of SpeekyGeeky. Go ahead and introduce yourself on the channel.
I'm Mr. Geek-E from SpeekyGeeky. Nice to see everybody.
What kind of content does SpeekyGeeky do?
We do all sorts of stuff. We do choose your own unboxings, read along, narration, and voiceover videos, and a whole bunch of different original content as well. It's a lot of pop culture, it's a lot of comics, it's a lot of toys, video games, movies, lots of great stuff. If you're into talking and hearing about that kind of stuff, it's your scene.
Hell yeah, hell yeah. Thanks for joining us today for our first live podcast. I hope you caught what SpeekyGeeky does. We'll have his channel linked inside of the chat. Come on every once in a while on a timer today. So what are we discussing today? We're doing something cool.
We're doing some really cool stuff today. We are going to be doing a deep dive into Black Mirror. I think we're going to be doing a ranking.
Hell yeah.
Going through all the episodes one by one.
Yeah, definitely. So we have the tier list. We have all the episodes, which Mr. Geeky has the titles to, but I figure we'll go in chronological, discuss kind of what we like, what we don't like. And then, if we get enough people in here in chat wanting to participate, we can start getting their thoughts on the show as well. So I figure we'll start with season 1, episode 1.
Well, that's a good place to start, I suppose, right?
Yeah. So that one is what? That one is the national anthem, right? First
episode is, I think you're right. Yeah, that's the one with the pig, eh?
Yeah, that's the pig sex one, exactly. So I have some thoughts about this first episode, but I kind of want to hear what your thoughts are and what you think about the episode.
Okay, so here's the deal. How much spoilery can we be here with these episodes?
I don't know. I say we'd be full spoiler. I mean, we're ranking them, so we got to discuss the best parts and the worst parts of it. So I would say we just assume that the people watching have seen the episode. I think we could just discuss it outright.
So, all right. So those who are tuning in right now, beware spoilers.
Spoilers, yeah.
Spoilers beyond this point. So, yes, I mean, he's having sex with a pig. And it was new. It was different. It was like a blackmail thing. If you're looking at Black Mirror as a whole, it to me didn't feel like one of those episodes. It's kind of those like holy crap episodes. It was holy crap that like you're witnessing something like this, but it's not holy crap from like a mind blown, right?
Yeah, I agree with you. I think that like it was very grounded for a Black Mirror episode. There wasn't much tech to it, right? Part of the whole appeal to Black Mirror is like it has this appeal that it's like, oh, has tech gone too far? Technology, that's kind of like one of the underlying themes of Black Mirror is we have this technology, has it gone too far? Here's a story about how it has gone too far or something. Yeah. I didn't feel that way with this episode. I felt it was like one of the weakest episodes, at least when I compare it to, like all episodes as a whole. Mm-hmm. If I compare it into the season it's in, then I guess it's not quite as bad. But as far as like as a whole, I don't find it to be that great. What about you?
I would say here's, I guess, as an overall note, the episodes that I gravitate more towards are like that, like more of the dystopic functionality of tech. There are a smattering of like more political facing ones that it's not that those are bad episodes, they're interesting episodes, but they're not, when I think of my favorites, it doesn't include the political ones because it's not treading on new ground, really.
Yeah.
It's, as a whole, I think this is it's not my least favorite episode. It is for this season, right? So for season 1, I mean, I look at the otthe episodes for the season. The first season, mind you, is only 3 episodes. So it's not like, we're gonna very easily have, a top, middle, and a bottom rung for this one. So this will be my bottom rung. So everything's looking up for the rest of the season.
I think that this is, if I were to give it a ranking, I'd give it a solid D. I think it's a D ranking. I don't think it's particularly good, and I don't necessarily think it's maybe the worst thing ever. I almost don't know why there's an E. I almost want to just pretend that E doesn't exist, because in most rankings it'll be S, A, B, C, D, and F. I would give this a D ranking. I don't know if you agree with that or disagree, but I don't think it's better than a D.
Yeah, I probably would give it, it's definitely not the very bottom, so I guess a D is probably Where if we're not counting E, then I will say D. E otherwise probably would. I mean,
E. You would do E. I don't know, Nine Jack. What do you think? If you're watching this, Nine Jack, what do you think of the very first episode of all Black Mirror episodes, the pig sex episode? He's contemplating. He's contemplating.
All right.
Let's see what he thinks here. But I think D or lower sounds right to me.
Yeah,
and you're going with E. So right now it's smack in E until Nine Jack gives a supporting argument as to if it's better or worse than that.
That's fair.
The pressure's on, Jack. Pressure's on.
Woo.
I think it's a C for me. Not perfect, but it's not one of the worst ones. Interesting. Okay. So it's not perfect, but it's not one of the worst ones. Okay, so for now then we can plop it right in between C and D then. That factors out, and then we can decide down the line if people agree or disagree with that.
Yeah.
I think that's fair. So, on to episode 2. 15 million minutes. Okay, episode 2 is one of my favorite ones. So yeah, number 2, episode 2 is the 15 million merits, right? That one is like the American Idol of sorts, right? But so I guess everybody's riding bikes to rank up their points, their merit points, and their points define their societal worth, right? But there's also a talent show, and if they go on this talent show and they wow the judges, they can just earn like 10 million credits or something, or 15 million, and just be rich. So what are your thoughts about that show, about that episode?
I thought this was a really powerful episode. I felt like it really there's a lot of logical progression of where we're at as a society now, I think, in this episode, in terms of what's plausible. It was dark, and it was they went down it was kind of the idea of, like, what are you willing to do for accolades? What are you willing to do to make it? And it brought up some big questions. There's a lot of powerful moments to it. So it was high up there on my list too. I like the idea behind the peddling for merits piece too, which is it's allegorical to the asinine nature of work.
Yeah.
It's like you're putting this work that you're never going to see what the heck you're even doing. What's this going towards in a bigger picture for something you don't even necessarily care about. Otherwise, then you're just doing it for the sake of, like, that you're supposed to do it. And it was like this larger than life nature of, this like overarching show that was like the big glimmering shiny thing in the sky that they wanted to aim for. And they didn't even know why they wanted it, other than that was the only thing that they could look forward to.
Yeah. I also like that, I kind of like the little bit of, I like the way that it ended, right? Where this guy is essentially, spoilers for those who haven't seen season 1, episode 2, the guy is essentially threatening to kill himself live on the show, and he just gets applause across the room because he's doing this, right? And he thinks that he's sending a powerful message, but then he gets offered a guest role to keep performing if he does that little pretend to commit suicide thing. So it is kind of a message on society, right? And it's like, you will debase yourself for money in this society, in that show, but also it is kind of reflective of, like, how it would really be in the real world too, right? If people embarrass themselves for fame and money all the time. And yeah, so I do really enjoy this. Plus it features that actor that I don't want to mispronounce his name. Oh, I have it. I actually have it here. Daniel Kaluuya, and he's also in that Jordan Peele movie, Get Out, which is really good. That was I think his big break, and I do really enjoy him as an actor, and I think he's great in that show. So I would probably rank this at least, I don't know, to me I think it is S tier. I think it's a very good episode, even when I compare it to most episodes in the entire series. I think it's up there as a very well done and well put episode, and I think it's S tier. That's my thought, but I want to know your thoughts, and I want to know chat's thoughts.
Yeah, I mean, my thoughts are aligned on this one. I think that this is S. This to me gets an S. I'm on board for that. I think that this was a pretty effective episode, and it left a pretty big impression on me as well.
Nice. Chat, what do you guys think? Do you guys think S tier for episode 2, or you think it's the worst thing? We're gonna go with S. because I think that's the general consensus. All right, so I think, yeah, I agree with you. It's an S tier episode. It's one of the best in the entire series. It gets the point across of how we are in society, and I think it is kind of reflective in a lot of ways of how we are in society. I think that's a great episode, and I think we can move on to episode 3. Episode 3.
Entire history of you.
Yeah, so this is the first time we see the little head. Well, actually, it's a little different, right? In this episode, it's like an implant, and this one's still fresh in my memory because I actually watched it recently, because I've watched some episodes out of order, and so this guy has a head implant, and he can rewind. Basically, you can rewind and replay anything in your entire life. Zoom in, playback, everything like that.
Like our Twitch life.
Like our Twitch life, exactly. But I'd love to hear your thoughts, Mr. Geeky. What are your thoughts on that episode?
I really enjoyed this one. Yeah, I mean, what you were saying is that there's kind of elements of I think here it's like a grain that's like in the back of your head, and it just records all your. There's a recurring theme in other episodes that are similar to this, and we'll get to that. I enjoyed this for what it was, only for the sake of another later episode that really I feel did it better. That's the only reason why this would get a middle ground for me. But I enjoyed the episode. So, and again, I guess for me it's just that, and I don't want to get ahead of ourselves, so I don't want to tip off what that is yet. But I felt like this had some really good impactful moments. It tackled some really interesting ways of thinking about the way that we do things and how, you know, we can recreate what our memories are based on tailoring it towards what we want it to be. And there was some really kind of really deep thoughts there. It's like getting to watch something stoned without being stoned. So it's, you know, it was one of those where you felt really, I guess, cerebral and smart watching it. So so it has that going for it. So for me, I would go with probably B on this one. B tier. And again, it's only B in my mind because of another one that will be coming up that also dealt with similar territory, that is just gets my S tier.
I think I can agree with you that it's more of like a B tier episode because it does do some things really well, especially in the context of if you're looking at just season 1, that's the one that kind of takes the cake. Well, that one kind of introduces us to more futuristic technologies, in a sense, and it kind of shows, well, what would happen if everybody had this technology? What would life be like? The character is a bit interesting to me, right? Because you kind of want to root for him, but at the same time, he's very like neurotic, and he's also kind of a douchebag too. So it's kind of an interesting character to play, and I think that B is totally fair on this one. It was entertaining. It wasn't the most amazing thing I've ever seen, and it definitely wasn't the worst thing I've ever seen. I don't know, Pan loves that episode. Pan, what would you rank episode 3 with the entire history of you? What's your rank on that, Pan?
I guess, I mean, as Pan is weighing in, I would also, I think, say that for the sake that this was like the first time that we are being introduced to this as an audience also, I mean, that there is an element to that as well. Where, you know, it's like it's kind of ingratiating us to the idea of this, and because it was the first time we were seeing this, and, you know, really being introduced to it, it's also shouldn't go under the radar, you know.
Okay, so Pan and Nine Jack have weighted on it. Pan says A or B, and Nine Jack says B. It's up there for sure, and I agree with you that, like, in the context of the first season, yeah, it's definitely something unique. But since this is a tier list, I think we should actually only base it off of the entirety of the show, right? Because we do want to rank it based on all pre-existing episodes, and it seems that everybody is, for the most part, in agreement with B, and I think I'm cool with that. I think B is cool. It was good. It's up there. I would say it's a solid B, right? It's better than, it's above average, but it's not the most amazing episode by far. It's not. But this will be an interesting tier list when we're done. And I think when we're done too, we can, I'm going to save this tier list and post it in the Discord. So then if anybody wants to binge based on this tier list, then you can really be like, oh no, this is a way better episode, or this is a way worse episode, you know, because maybe a lot of these episodes me and Mr. Geeky haven't seen in a while, so we're going off our memory and we're going off of synopsis.
You know, I'd be curious too to know if once we put this in a tiered list like this, if it's kind of like Bandersnatch, where, you know, it's like maybe it's a completely different experience if you watch it in this order.
That's true. That's true. That's true. If you decide to watch only the worst ones or only the best ones, or when in whatever order you'd want to do that. So I think that's great. So far, I think we're pretty much in agreement. I was expecting to be a lot of disagreements. The last season is F tier. We'll get there, Pan. We'll get there. We'll definitely get to the last season.